And we're live. Welcome to Four Dudes in a Football. I'm Adam. That's Cyrus. Miles is out of the picture, and there's Mike down there. We're going to jump right into this shit and talk about the Titans and the Saints. Did y'all watch any of that?
I did. It was admittedly a pretty miserable football game.
It was pretty bad. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't nearly as bad as the fucking Green Bay Seattle game, but we'll get into that in a little
Or the
bit.
Pittsburgh Detroit game. But it was just not a good week of football,
It
especially
really wasn't. It was very
college pro. There was no good football on this week.
No, it was
That
a very
is pretty true.
strange. Yeah, it was a very strange week in the NFL 2021 season of the 10th week. So, fun times with that.
Yeah, Titans and Saints, man, that's a game that they had to have because you look at all the teams that they've beaten before the Saints and it's like, man, if you could put away Buffalo and Kansas City and go on this run like they have been, you got to take care of New Orleans when they're down a quarterback. And what I think Kamara was out too, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yes.
Kamara's out
This
as
was
well.
a must-win for the Titans,
It was a bet. It was a
and that for non-conference. For non-conference, this is a must-win.
yes, but it was a shitty game.
Yeah,
No.
and some of them are going to be that way. I think the Titans have lost their ability to really put teams away for long term. I think the Rams, and again, we'll get into the Rams and stuff later, but based on the way they've been playing lately, that may have been more the Rams than the Titans. I think the fact that they're able to string together these wins is good, but at the same time, we haven't really shown the ability to, really just kill other teams at will. We have had it happen, but the difference is I don't think that they're built to do that every single week, as evidenced this week.
No, they're definitely not built to be able to play like that. What's up, Miles?
Let me argue a point for the Titans here because I don't always do that. I'm a fan, but I don't always, come in on their regard. The Titans stock right now is up, man. I mean, they have showed a level of consistency that I think outshines any other NFL team right now. You have the Rams who came in hot. You have other teams who have been just palpable, like the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, what happened there?
Hey, they're leading their division now.
You have a lot of people that have just been extremely hot or extremely cold, and I feel like throughout all the individual injuries and things of that nature that have happened through the Titans, I feel like they've showed a level of consistency of which makes them a contender. I really do.
Their defense definitely makes them a contender. And another thing that they've done this year that no other NFL team has done, they have played 82 football players this year so far. The other team is like 69. They have had that many players go down with injury.
Injuries, man. Injuries.
Oh, no, it's definitely hurting them. And they're right now.
No, it's not. It's not hurting them. That's my point. They're still winning football games.
Yeah, they are. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. And it's their defense that's winning them these games because it sure as fuck is not their offense.
The offense is doing enough. Enough with an asterisk. I mean, it's barely enough.
It's going to catch up to them soon because Derrick Henry, this is the second week out, and they've got, they're 2-0 without Derrick Henry. They're on a 5-0 run right now.
That's where you're wrong.
What do you mean? I just give you stats.
There is not a single NFL team in the 32 teams in both conferences that has a running back anywhere near the level of Derrick Henry.
I don't disagree with you.
You take Derrick Henry out of that equation, then basically that puts the Titans running back game equivalent to every other team that's out there. So you're telling me that if the running back core of the Titans is equivalent to every other team out there, that they can't win games?
No, it's not. Our running back core is nothing as far as being able to run. What did we get, like 40 yards last week with three different running backs?
Rushing-wise, it's not that good.
It doesn't matter.
Nichols is an all right receiving back.
He's all right. He got like 20 yards. Adrian, old man Peterson, and for whoever's
I feel like Dan LeBetard here.
They need to run Foreman more.
do.
Foreman, dude, there's something about Foreman they don't trust for some reason because every time
Maybe
he's
he
gotten the
fumbles.
ball, he has ran it and he's ran it well.
Maybe he.
Now,
Well,
he
the
did
only
now.
reason those guys don't get to play consistently, if that's the case, is either he's a fumbler or he doesn't pass pro. One of the two, and that's one of those things
Yeah.
that Henry never had an issue with on either.
Yeah. And see,
Dude,
well,
if he can
the
run
first
70
game
yards.
that he played for the Titans, he completely blew a block. And it was just so obvious. I really think that has
They
something to do
know.
with it, too.
They know if he whiffs on somebody and Tannehill's out for the year, then there ain't no more 5-game win streak against
Nope.
any teams. They could play Detroit 5 weeks in a row. They wouldn't even tie.
Oh, if Tannehill's gone, then it's over. Yeah,
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
done. Oh, I agree.
So right
100%
now,
with that.
Julio Jones is out. He's on
Doesn't
IR.
matter.
He'll
Yeah.
be back for New England. Well, after the New England game, and that's the key point here with the Tennessee Titans. There's no one left on the schedule other than maybe the Patriots.
Oh, maybe. That's a big maybe. They're going. Sorry.
They're good. I think they're genuinely good in New England. They're well coached. Mac Jones is playing well. It's going to be interesting.
And
But-
the parallels between these two teams, sorry to cut in, these parallels between the Patriots and Titans and the way they're going right now, I think has everything to do with coaching. I was blasting the Titans beginning of the year for Shane Bowen being defensive coordinator, kind of coming up out of the bleachers or whatever. But he's done a fantastic job, and Belichick and his staff has done a good job, and both of those teams have gotten hot. To your point, but again, sorry to cut in there.
There's not a single team other than the Patriots, and you could argue maybe Pittsburgh or San Francisco, but those two teams would get stuffed by the Titans defense. There's not a single team on the schedule left, and Derrick Henry's going to be back before the playoffs, is what most insiders are saying.
He shouldn't be. He doesn't need to be.
No.
Well,
Don't
what I
rush
mean
him
is,
back.
Don't
Don't rush
him
him back, 'cause
before the
right now
playoffs, before the playoffs. But if he's playing wild card weekend, or say this team keeps winning and somehow gets a bye,
They should. They should absolutely get a bye.
this team is going to be insane come playoff time. They already have the adversity of the injuries. Derrick Henry would be coming back, and there's not a single team left on the schedule. They're going to pull a Jets game again. There's going to be one more Jets-like game. But this team's going to be 3-4 loss minimum.
Shut your fucking face, Cyrus. What are you talking about? There's going to be another Jets loss. What
This
the
is the
fuck
Tennessee
man,
Titans.
Cyrus.
I've been watching this my whole life.
Yeah,
Come on,
I would
bro.
agree with Cyrus. You're looking at the schedule. They've got the Texans at home. They are at New England, which I think they're probably going to lose that game. But I'm not wishing. I'm just saying, looking at all things equal, then they got the Jaguars at home. They're going to win that. They got the Steelers in Pittsburgh, which is a 50-50, but it depends on what Pittsburgh looks like then. They've had a lot of injuries. And then they finished with 49ers and Dolphins both at home. Both those games are wins. So you really are scared about the Patriots and kind of the Steelers based on what happens the next 3 weeks.
I'm not sure about that San Francisco being a win. San Francisco's going to be playing for a playoff spot, and they are not. Don't shake your head. No, you haven't even listened to me yet. I haven't even given you, dude.
Go ahead.
Did you watch the game the other night?
Yeah.
When they played the Rams and fucking
Yeah.
whooped their ass, and not only whooped their ass, but their offense moved the ball against a defense that has been dynamite this year. I cannot believe I just said that, but they have been kicking ass this year. I mean, they really
They got to do
have.
something next week. I think that's a one-off game. San Francisco has a lot of one-off games. Jimmy G's
Really?
not 2019 Jimmy G, and that team is missing something. They got the Rams at an opportune time.
They're missing a running game, definitely, because they have like 3 running backs out, don't they?
Yeah, their running game sucks.
Yeah, it's just like Baltimore. They don't have any running backs. They all got hurt in like preseason and like the first game of the damn season. Like most of them went out with concussions for a while. But there's nobody there dependable, that's for sure.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is where the rubber meets the road because I don't remember. I've been pulling for Matt Stafford for a long time, and I remember we had this conversation many times before, and I think it was Mike who mentioned the fact that Matt Stafford has been an exceptional quarterback for a mediocre team for a long time, and most of his stats have come in jump time.
Yep.
And we have seen the first half of the season, and now we're starting to see the second half of the season here. And to be freakingly blatantly honest with Matt Stafford, it is a 50-50 shot. We're really not sure what we're looking forward to here. Like he's performed greatly in this first half of football, but we have never seen him take it to that next level because he's never been in a position to take it to that next level. So
He's 3 pick sixes in the last 2 games, and he's had other interceptions and a lot of balls that weren't intercepted that should have been. I mean, it's not just a 2-game losing streak. They look like they're in a free fall, and I'm kind of wondering where this is going to end.
It started with the Titans game because before the Titans game, he had only had 3 picks for the year.
Yeah, they looked really good. They were 7-1, and we're talking about they are probably going to walk to the Super Bowl based on competition. And now I think they're looking at wild card or at least several home or away playoff games. I'm sorry.
I don't know what to think. I'm really confused here as to what's happened. I mean, they've crumbled so quickly.
Yes.
The Titans game should have been a one-off, but then Robert Woods and OBJ came to town.
Yeah, Robert
OBJ
Woods is out
not
now.
Robert Woods. And the mainstream media will never tell you this because everyone wants to keep the OBJ narrative for some reason. He had that great catch. I know. OBJ sucks.
He has sucked. He had good his first 3 years. They were good 3 years. After that, he's been shit. And how long ago was that? When did he get drafted?
2014.
All right. So until 2017, he was good. After that, I can't tell you anything that he's done worth a shit.
He's had 2 major leg injuries, but at the same time, he hasn't really changed his mentality. He's been a very Terrell Owens, egotistical type player. And, the offenses that win, Cleveland proved, they've had winning seasons the last 2 years. Well, to be seen about this year, I guess, but up until recently, they've had a really cohesive offense without him being involved. He comes back, doesn't have a place, and he wants out. So the last couple of weeks has been about where's OBJ going to go? What are they going to do? They're going to release him. They're going to trade him. And that's a distraction. All he is a distraction at this point because his talent doesn't match it. And, I mean, his best days are on highlight reels years gone by.
And the funny thing about it is Colorado, or not Colorado, but Cleveland, I don't think they're necessarily excited by letting him go. I really don't think that's something they wanted to do because you look at their pass offense and Njoku is their number 1 receiver.
Is he really?
Njoku, yes. He's their number 1 receiver right now. So,
and, the Baker Mayfield's out too.
I don't feel like this was something that they necessarily wanted to do, but I feel like it's kind of a Von Miller Denver thing where you have to get maximum value with what you have. I feel like they might have kind of felt cornered with, hey, he hasn't done a lot for us, so we're going to try and get as much as we can out of him. Now, Mike, you're more of a details guy with the business side of it than I am. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it did, but they didn't get anything for him. I mean, they basically redid his contract because by the time he started really raising issues, the trade deadline was like a day or 2 out. So they didn't have time to really get what they felt was a decent offer, and they had to send him to waivers. And before they sent him to waivers, they redid his contract so that either one, no other team would claim him because there's too much guaranteed money left on there and nobody would want to take it for 1 year. Or 2, they wasn't going to – I forget if they set it that way or if it was set up to keep him from having a lot of dead money in the books the rest of the year. But it was one of the 2. And he cleared waivers and then was free to sign with any team. A lot of teams offered him the veteran minimums, Green Bay being one of them. And it was widely believed that he was going to go to Green Bay up until like the last minute, and the Rams kind of popped up out of nowhere. The Rams moved some stuff around to be able to get like a couple extra million based on incentives and stuff the rest of the year and get him on a deal. But he really went there to win. He saw Matt Stafford, and he was either going to go there or Aaron Rodgers, try to win some games. Again, all about him. He wants a Super Bowl ring he didn't earn. And a lot of guys in his situation, the waning part of the good part of their career, they're trying to get what they can get. This is it's just typical OBJ, but he's not going to bring anything to that team. If anything, he's going to force them to focus on him and then kill the offense completely.
My only argument to that is who in the fucking world thought Deshaun Jackson was going to bring anything to that team? and he did. So that's the only solid argument.
He has numbers. He has stats to back it up. OBJ for the better part of the last 4 years has been like his last 1,000-yard season was in 2019, and it was barely a 1,000-yard season. This dude's basically Drew Bennett. He's Tyrone Calico with the personality of Terrell Owens.
Hey, let's not bring Calico into this. Okay.
Tyrone. I can't believe I was even able to make that reference.
That was a
He
good one.
shot himself in the leg with a gun. Okay. Let's not.
Wasn't that the other guy?
No,
That was Plaxico Burress.
That's
They both had
Burress.
horrific leg injuries, but Burress is the one that was self-inflicted.
Never mind. Yes.
But yeah, this dude's last 1,000-yard season was 2019. The last 2 years, and I know he's had injuries, but he still played 6 and 7 games respectively. This year he played 6. He started 6 games, 232 yards.
Yeah. So I was actually the other day I was watching the Raiders play, so I saw Deshaun Jackson because that's where he's playing now. Because he has to be released from the Rams. The Rams released him, and Raiders picked him up, which obviously they need a receiver because they have all kind of shit going on down there. But anyways, so I saw him make a play, and it was a good catch. And he got turned around, and when he got turned around, I could have swore that this son of a bitch lateraled the ball to a fucking defender. And then upon, as soon as it happened, I was like, that dumb motherfucker, dude. Because we all know that's something that he would do. He would do something stupid like that. But then, once I watched the replay, it was the defender actually punched the ball out of him, and it looked like he threw it backwards.
And that's always been his issue, man. He's had no ball security for the entirety he's been in the NFL.
Yeah.
Who's that? Baker?
Deshaun Jackson.
Oh. Well, yeah. But he's faster than son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, cool. Then he needs to be a corner.
You bring in Deshaun Jackson to run streaks and make an occasional big play, and that's it. Even in his prime, you basically used him as a decoy.
Yeah, he's a deep threat and he's fast.
Yes.
So
he's still fast enough to return punts.
That's not something you find often in the NFL, obviously, if this fucking 12-year-old veteran can do that.
Look at Ted Ginn.
Exactly.
Ted Ginn was like the worst wide receiver ever drafted.
Yes.
Yeah. And Ted Ginn hung on with so many teams. I was like, wow, I can't believe he's like on the third team this year.
Is he still playing somewhere? He's fucking backup for
quit.
somebody in fucking Arizona. Not Arizona. They're good this year, actually.
Yeah,
they got their ass handed to him this past week, though, man. They couldn't do shit.
Because Kyler wasn't in there, man.
Whatever, dude. They blew out the team last week without him.
No. That was a fluke. That was a fluke. They need him, man.
They need him. Kyler and
They need him like Baltimore needs fucking, oh boy.
Lamar?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lamar couldn't get it done this past week.
Oh, my goodness.
Man, Tom Brady couldn't either. You're going to have on and off weeks, man.
Dude, this was me and Cyrus were talking before y'all come on. This was a really weird week in the NFL.
It sucked. It was not fun to watch. None of it. None of it.
Was this the Miami and Baltimore games that we're talking about?
Yeah,
that was last week.
Was it?
I don't. Baltimore played.
It was the Thursday night game.
Thursday.
So
night?
that would have been Miami.
Dolphins. Yeah. Dolphins.
Man, I was so surprised by that game. I mean,
so
Miami was. Yeah, Miami was just Miami is not a good team, and everybody was expecting big things out of them. They came out the gates this year after a 10-win season, barely missing the playoffs, and everybody thought like, okay, the arrow's pointing up. And they've fallen flat. They lost 6 in a row. Tua has not been when he's supposed to. He was hurt, and somehow they had him on the bench. Like, how are you even going to address this guy if he's too hurt to play? How is he okay to back up? And they actually asked that question during the broadcast. I'm like, yeah. So, of course, what is the guy's name that started? Jacoby Brissett. He started, and they couldn't finish any of these drives. They put Tua in there, and somehow he was enough to beat him. But, man, Miami's defense kicked Baltimore's ass. And there's some blueprints in there that the other teams are going to use.
Definitely. Which I think is the same type of thing of what happened with the Kansas City Chiefs at the beginning of this year after they lost the Super Bowl last year because everybody knew how to stop Patrick Mahomes after that Super Bowl. And everybody's been employing that this entire year. For one thing, you got to do is double team Kelsey the entire time because that's his biggest check down. And Kelsey hasn't done shit this year. But anyway, sorry to go off on the whole thing right there. Anyway, yeah, but Lamar, Yeah, dude, he scored a touchdown this past week on that Thursday night game, and that was it. But another shit game that was on this past week was the Packers and the Seahawks.
Oh
Now,
God.
both Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson returned back to the NFL action, and both sucked a big donkey dick. It was terrible, dude. It was horrible. I mean, like, and didn't Aaron Jones go out and he's hurt now?
And what? Wait, hold on. On a quick side note with that
I know
mention,
what you're doing. Don't do
are
this.
you guys just like falling asleep at the wheel here? Because I got every freaking person I wanted off waiver wires.
Well, I went
including
after
A.J.
AJ
Hey,
Dillon.
man,
I went
I'm
after AJ Dillon,
73.
but I wasn't high enough.
I mean,
I'm not
I
all
got
that
three. I got A.J. Dillon. I got the 49ers guy who's coming out. And then I got one other one. All
You
of
got
them.
Debo?
No, let me see. It's not Debo, but it's some other 49ers guy who's coming out recently.
Well, it doesn't
over
matter.
this
If it's not
past couple
Debo, it
weeks.
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
No. Let me see.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now. It does matter.
Okay.
God damn it.
No, obviously not. 'Cause I whipped your ass
And
after all that
Debo's
shit you
and
talked.
Debo's with me, guys.
No,
Oh,
Debo's
you
a
got
wide
Debo.
receiver anyway. Anyhow, you son
I'm
of a bitch.
aware.
It's EJ. I didn't say wide receiver. I said running back.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Mitchell.
Oh yeah. Well, he's already been hurt a couple times this year. That's why.
And I got Miles Gaskin. I fucking took care of my running back situation this week, so I'll have you know.
Good luck on Miles Gaskin.
Yeah, good.
I didn't really
yeah.
need any running backs. I was just going to take Dillon because he looked so good, and I think he's going to probably take the starting job. I think Aaron Jones is going to have a spot.
Aaron Jones is on the schneid. Aaron Jones is on his way down, and A.J. Dillon is on the way up. But nonetheless, I couldn't believe that nobody did anything with any of those.
Well, you son of a bitch! I was trying to get Dillon, and you jumped me. I had in 3 leagues. That's the only league I didn't get AJ Dillon because everybody else hasn't caught on to it yet.
Actually,
man, he was
I
the
picked
hottest
him
pick.
up at the beginning of the year in my other league, and he's just now starting to do something for me. That motherfucker.
Right, but I think it's going to go the rest of the year.
Well, I figured out
Yeah.
my running back situation. Remember when everyone gave me shit for picking up James Conner? That was pretty
Yes.
funny, wasn't it, y'all?
Fuck you.
It worked out, didn't it? Yeah. And it got you best, Miles. That worked out best. It was really
Fuck
great.
you.
A fun week.
Fuck you.
7-3,
Listen.
gentlemen. 7-3.
But nonetheless, out of the 3 running backs I wanted, I got Dalvin Cook. And Mr. Mike, I hope you pay for that this week.
What's that?
Yeah,
Mike,
Oh, y'all playing each other?
because AJ, what's his name, is on the way out. He's hurt. Oh boy, from Green Bay, running back.
yeah.
Aaron
Aaron
Jones.
Jones? Yeah.
He's on his way out. He's hurt.
And
and
you know,
A.J. Dillon
honestly, I'm
has
surprised he
thundercloud.
lasted as long as he did this year. I
A.J.
expected
Dillon
him to
has
get hurt earlier.
Saquon Barkley thighs.
What's that?
A.J.
Yeah,
Dillon
he's got
has
tree trunk
Saquon
legs.
Barkley thighs.
Oh yeah. Well,
Well,
he's
You got
supposedly
Miles
coming
checking them
back.
legs out. No, yeah, I'm really not looking forward to facing Cook. He's going up against Green Bay. I think he's going to have a big game. So,
Well, Mike, just
but I
for
beat
your
Adam last
second-
week, so
let me let you sleep a little bit easier here, Mike. The Cooper Cup is not playing for me this week, so that helps you out a great fucking deal.
yeah, you got a pretty stacked squad. But I mean, I do
No,
too.
no,
I
no,
got everybody on my bench is injured. I just happened to look on here and like my entire team is murdered except for the guys playing this week. So I really hope I don't have any more issues. But
Well,
No, actually,
yeah,
I
you
did
might
get
catch me.
somebody.
I don't know. Without Cooper Cup, I'm not sure what if I'm a full man. I might only be half a man.
Well,
No, we're both scheduled to finish within a half a point each other
Well,
based on projections.
if I don't beat you, it's over. This is it for me. This is halfway point. If I don't win here, if I don't get at least 500, I'm gonna be fucked.
What's our playoff format in this league? Is it only 4 teams?
I believe so. Yeah.
It's a 14 playoff league, and the way it's going, barring, I mean,
It's gonna
Chris
be
still has
us.
a good chance.
It's gonna
but
be us.
It's either going to
Could be us four.
Yeah.
minus Chris making a good comeback, and he's still 500. He's still
Or Christopher.
yes.
Yeah, dude, he beat me twice. That little fucker.
So he's not out of it, but it's looking like it's going to be the podcast in the playoffs, which will be
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
Which I have only.
Christopher.
Fuck you.
No,
Fuck
Christopher.
You. Fuck you, Cyrus.
You talk about
Hey,
Fuck you,
man.
Cyrus.
Hey, I got
Fuck
your
you.
ass, bro.
I
got
lost
your
by
ass.
like a point and a half.
Hey, man, you should have started better players. It happened.
Okay.
Ooh.
James
Look
Conner,
at that old bump right there.
Let's say
James Conner has
trade
the
denied, by the
has
way.
the best game of his life on the week I'm playing. He's going to have that's the best game of his entire career.
It was.
I'll put it down right now.
It was. Without a doubt, it's going to be. But hey, it was enough to beat you. That's all that matters.
I shit on that.
I needed that W.
For a PPR league with the hottest team in the NFC, I mean, you couldn't have gotten a better player. I would have never thought James Conner would have been anything but a guy
He was great
that
in
like rotated
Pittsburgh.
him.
Thank you, Mike.
Everyone
Thank
thought
you.
he fell off a cliff in Pittsburgh. He was just cut. He was
No,
injured.
no. Cyrus, he has fallen off a cliff. You got a little bit of a whatever they call that, like a little bit of a bounce. Like whenever you fall and you bounce off the ground, whatever that is, you just got.
Oh,
So he's
okay.
about to
I'm
fall
going towards
right
another
back
one of my
fucking
classic
around.
fantasy football hot streaks that inevitably ends up in me getting blown out in the championship game because that's what
Well, I
happens.
mean-
to
Falling
me
right
every
back to the
time.
ground, and then you're going to be like, "Why did I start this fucker?"
I mean, there's been weeks I thought about that with a lot of players. Who would have thought starting the
only
Dallas
yours.
defense last week would
My
have
team
resulted
is
in?
solid.
Yeah, my
Okay.
team is not dependable, dude. Like
I
this
know.
past week, I had Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams, and they didn't do shit. They just didn't. And then, yeah, that was just bad.
Nobody cares about your fantasy football team, Davis.
I know. It's all right. You're just mad because I beat you too. After all the shit you talked on here.
Hey, I beat
You
Mike.
guys are all
once.
looking up at the giraffe here.
I beat Mike once. If I can beat him a second time, I'm going to be in. It's all over for you
I
guys.
beat Mike once too, but he also beat me once. So, like I said, my nephew's the only one that's beat me twice.
I feel bad for John, whoever that is,
Why?
because he's like
He's
0 and 10.
10.
Oh, is
Oh my
it?
God, is he really?
Yeah. Poor
Ouch.
guy.
Wow. Is he starting a team every week, or what is he doing?
I would have given up by week 6 if I was him, to be honest. So
Wow, dude. I'm in 3 leagues, and I don't think anybody's 0 and 10.
I'm 2-8 in my other league. I'm damn close to it.
I
Dude,
remember
he's got a
starting
great
1 and
team.
9 when I was like 6.
No, I mean, look at his score. His score isn't that bad. You know, his score is, I think. Well, no, it is. It is.
Well, has he kept Kyler Murray in the last 2 weeks? Because yeah, that'll do it.
I don't know. That's a good question.
He has
No.
2 kickers and 2 defenses.
Yeah.
What?
Hey, man, I have 2 kickers and 2 defenses.
Why?
I have 3 quarterbacks. I actually had 4 quarterbacks, I think, last week.
So I've always been a fan of only 1 kicker, only 1 defense, the whole rest of the roster skill position, no matter what. I've changed it up a little bit this year.
I agree
found,
with that.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I found
working.
the kicker for the Rams. I've been riding pretty hard with him, and I didn't want to give him up. So I've been trying to keep him on the bench and then cycle in somebody else for the bye week. The defenses, I've gone as high as 4 defenses at a time this year because I realized that if I get somebody 2 or 3 weeks out for a certain matchup, I could hold him so one of you fuckers can't get him. And then I'll have my regular defense for that week. And then there's only 32 defenses out there. If I got 4 of them, that leaves you with slim pickings, man.
Whoa, wait a second. Hold on. You've had 4 defenses on your roster at one time.
Up to 4. Up to 4, yes.
4 at one time.
My
Yeah,
goodness.
right now I've only got in this league I've only got 1. I have another league I have 4 right now. A different team.
Yeah.
A different team.
4 defenses.
And guess where I'm ranked in that league? Right here.
How many people are there? 16?
It's 10.
4 defenses on your roster.
Yeah, and let me tell you what they were. So this last week, and I picked the worst of the ones that I had. Hold on a second. Let me pull it up.
That's insane.
It's thrilling stuff if you're following on YouTube. Damn, where is it?
That's insane amount of defenses on a roster.
I had Tennessee defense, Dallas defense, and I had New England defense this last week. So there's only 3. I'm sorry, not 4.
That's more than enough.
I've had all 3 of those defenses on my roster at separate points throughout
Yes.
the year.
Yes, because you're not a psychopath.
Dude, I am so I have like so much depth at every position that I have that many extra spots available. Like the guys that would have taken the spots would never have made it into my lineup. And I'm keeping shit away from other people. That's how you play the game.
Yeah,
not
no,
about my
it's,
team,
it's,
it's about fuck
listen,
your team.
I
So-
agree with taking shit away from other people. I'm constantly looking for opportunities to take away from people that I will never use, but I just simply don't want them to use. But I can't relate to having 3 defenses on my fucking roster.
I can take
you
the
know
heat,
what?
man.
You know
Fine
what we
from the
haven't
top.
talked about on this yet is the fact that Cam Newton returned to Carolina.
Oh,
How about that shit? And scored
yeah.
2 touchdowns on his
Yep.
return. And got a taunting penalty, which I want to also
Wait a minute.
touch
Cam
on.
Newton's already played?
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
When? Sunday?
Yep.
They're
I
saying
missed
he's
it.
going to be the starter this week, more than likely.
Well, yeah, he's favored to be the starter against Seattle. Is that who they're playing?
They're playing Washington and his old coach.
Oh,
How
shit.
did I
That's
miss
right.
that?
And they're coming there, aren't
I
they?
feel like I've taken a Xanax or something. How did I forget that how did I miss Cam Newton starting this
It
past
happened
week?
very quickly.
It did.
He wasn't supposed to play last week. He just
No,
kind
he
of got
wasn't.
signed to back up, and then he wound up in the game.
And they're paying him too. They're not skimping on the pay either. Good for him.
This is what they think of Sam Darnold. They were actually in negotiations with Cam on a multi-year deal that just turned into a one-year deal. So they actually were talking about beyond this season. I think the Darnold experiment is over. I think the first 4 or 5
Already?
games they saw the best that he could do, and then after that fell off a cliff. And they're finished. They're at the point now where they're trying to think of next year.
Hey,
'Cause I don't think-
Darnold needs to be signed as a running back. I mean, it's clear where they need to go from here. Right? I mean, he's got, 6 or 7 running back touchdowns? I mean, it's clear that he needs to be signed as a running back.
Yeah,
He's
well, they
going
started
the way
figuring
of
him out.
Joshua Rosen.
Yeah, it didn't take long. I mean, dude, I thought he was playing good this year. I thought, in a different system, he looked good at the beginning of the year. He had a couple of bad games, and they did not show him any mercy there.
He had moments, but again, the book got out on him really quickly. I mean, the Jets is kind of hard. It's hard to rate somebody based on a couple of seasons with the Jets. It's like, is it him or is it the system or the players, coaches? Like, I don't know. It could be all of it. But then you put him on Carolina, and he's got some decent players around him, and he's just really turned into like a one-sided. Okay, the first 2 reads aren't there. Either I'm gonna throw it into coverage over here, or I'm gonna take off running. And they forced him to stop running, which means his only other option is throw it in coverage. They love that to death.
You
Now
watch
he's hurt.
tape on him. And it's over. He's not he's a here I am. I'm an open book quarterback. He's not a by any means a sneaky, like, I'm going to make a play quarterback other than the running game. Now, if you can, the running game is something. He has some athleticism there, but if you can stop that, he's not going to be throwing these no-look passes like Patrick Mahomes or anything.
I've never seen him run, honestly.
He can run. He's not the most athletic, but he can. If you get the right coverage and he gets a little open space, he can run. I'm not.
Him and Daniel
deny it.
Jones. Most people
Yes.
don't really game plan for that, and they can both get you. But again, they can't play a complete game because they don't have the ability to read a defense and actually throw the ball.
Oh, that's an issue. So, with Cam being back, all right, have y'all? All right, so the NFL implemented a new taunting rule this year. Am I correct?
Oh, boy.
It did just start this year, didn't it?
It's
The
in
emphasis.
this year. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Some of these calls are just. I'm all for good sportsmanship and all that, positive bullshit and everything, but this is ruining the damn game right here.
Fucking
These
clears.
taunting penalties are crap. The majority of the ones I've seen, I'm just like, I don't even see what's happening. This has been this is kind of cliche saying this, but it seems like everybody says this every year. But this is some of the worst officiating I have seen in the NFL this year. But I feel like I'm saying that every fucking year.
Because they're
It's
always
just about
changing the
something different.
rules, man. It's hard for a referee, man. You got to understand. These are not easy. These are very subjective things that we're asked of these people to do. I mean, these are not. There's no black and white to the handbook of being a referee. There really isn't. That. Yeah, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate here, but that kind of sucks. I mean, it's really, really, really subjective when it comes to refereeing. And it's unfortunate. And, I actually read an article today about them putting microchips in the footballs and whatnot. And, maybe that solves the problem. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But I mean, I feel like if we're still going to measure the ball from the line to gain, from the scrimmage line, by that of someone's eyeballs, then you have to give it some wiggle room. I mean, you can't be a prick about it. You just can't. That's
Those
just
aren't-
the way it is. Now, if you're going to start putting microchips on the ball and you're going to start putting software that understands the relationship between the ball and the sideline, and you're going to start getting into the science of exactly like tennis. You're going to understand exactly where the fucking ball is in comparison to where it was prior to it was being snapped. Then sure, well, that makes sense. Let's do it. But I don't think there's this halfway measure. I feel like you need to kind of go all in with that, or you kind of need to fucking back
Yeah,
the fuck
see
off.
that has to add,
understand that human nature's part of the fucking
right. That I get that there's human nature, but that has fuck all to do with the taunting penalty, which is what I'm referring to. I'm talking about the taunting. I understand what you're saying. Yes,
taunting is very subjective in this
to a
world.
point, man. To a point. Yes, it could be subjective. Okay, it's subjective. It doesn't make it any fucking less annoying. It's bullshit.
Taunting shouldn't exist, and I have a whole tirade about that I'll get into in a minute. But in terms of the reffing and the
Well,
officiating,
excuse me for going off on my little blah blah blah.
oh, trust
Carry
me.
on.
Oh, if you would like to go, finish. But in terms of
I'm
reffing
done.
and officiating,
Mhm.
it's not the calls of measurement that are bugging me. It's not even the taunting calls. It's the stupid bad. It's the awful pass interference calls. It's the whatever that call was at the end of the first half in Tennessee, New Orleans Sunday, where New Orleans gets a clean hit on Tannehill. He throws a pick, and they ruled a hit in the head.
No, that it was a personal foul, roughing the passer, and that was towards the end of the game, and that was what gave us a touchdown. And it was a bullshit call.
Bad.
It was a
straight up.
bullshit call.
It was straight up like they looked at a gambling line and changed a call. And I don't mean to. I'm not trying to put on a tinfoil hat or anything. This is the most game-changing calls I've seen, and it's not just. It's like they're affecting. And the NFL is advertising a lot of gambling this year. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's oddly suspicious. And
It's an overcorrection. It's an overcorrection by the NFL to try and make it a point, I think.
Oh,
You'd agree with what you're saying.
In terms of taunting, maybe it's just the fact that I grew up watching things like professional wrestling and MMA and whatnot. These people are paid millions upon millions of dollars. I don't give a fuck about their feelings, okay? I don't. Let them talk all the shit they want. Let them go out there and call each other all the names they want. Let them point at each other. They're millionaires. They're all buddies behind the scenes anyway.
They're worried about the image and the kids and this. Okay, fine. But at the same time, you have it upside down. You guys really have kind of been like right there on it. My perception of this is just exactly this. One of the same reasons why I don't watch the NBA anymore, because the technical fouls, they will roll a technical foul on somebody for the stupidest stuff. And then you'll have the double technical. People get kicked out. There's points that change the game because now you got free throws involved. And it's a subjective call. It's a subjective call that you can't overturn. It's not challengeable. It's not black and white. You can't say, well, okay, I can see based on video evidence that this is exactly what it is. It's up to the person making the call. And I disagree with that. I don't like the fact that the pass interference, the roughing the passer calls are 15-yard plus penalties based on someone's perception of what happened.
Exactly.
The Bears game. You guys know about the Bears game where the referee hip checked the guy and then called the taunting. Like this type of shit is out of control. And it has changed games this year. If it was a 5-yard penalty, if it was something that it was more black and white, okay, I can get on board with this a little bit more. We're going to make an emphasis on illegal procedure. We're going to make an emphasis on, illegal contact downfield. Okay, well, the guy made contact at 6 yards. You could prove that. And we're going to call that every time now. Okay, cool, whatever. But, yeah, this whole thing where we're going to start throwing game-changing flags, large penalties, pass interference, 45 yards downfield with seconds to go because the receiver jumped back into the defender. the guy could do nothing about it but just fall down and take a flag. It's retarded, and it's putting too much pressure on these referees who are not equipped to handle it. And it is changing games. And Miles, you nailed it. The gambling thing, the NFL is in bed with gambling. It's gambling is advertised on every medium now, on all the apps, all the streaming. There's commercials about it, DraftKings, all that stuff, and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars off of this stuff. So if you have things that are subjective like this, reminds me of old school heavyweight boxing, where they throw the fights, or the the judges would do the majority decision, which usually means one guy was paid not to vote, make it unanimous. And it was, I hate that stuff. It ruins the game.
Yes. Nothing should be subjective in a game of sport. It should be very fucking black and white. I'm sorry. That's just the way it should be. There's no gray area in sport. That's the way it should be.
Period. I agree, because all this technology and all the added features and functionality and interactivity and stuff that they've done with sports over the years, right? Think of how much investment every year, not just to get to the point where you can use like the sky cams and the pylon cams and all this instant replay stuff, and have it come down to a 65-year-old man who ran halfway down the field to make the worst call anyone could ever make because he wasn't looking at the right thing in real time, as the fastest humans on the planet are collapsing on each other at a point where you have to judge inches. You know what I mean?
No,
like, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You've got main events like Wimbledon and these great golf, masters or whatnot, and they are using technology to realize that this makes the sport more of a level playing field, where when you've got subjective referees, just what was it? Just last year? Was it New Orleans or was it the year before?
Year before.
I mean, come on. I mean, stuff like that. I mean,
that's when last year they tried to say that you could actually challenge if it was pass interference.
Right. Now, how do you get rid of this? I don't know. But it's an issue. It's an issue.
Do you get rid of like live referees on the field?
No, but you take away the bullshit of what can and can't be reviewed. I think that's a really big first step. I believe if you could take
everything should be able to be reviewed.
Everything.
If there's a penalty thrown, it should be able to be reviewed.
Everything.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Able to speed up
now, does that slow down the game? Yes, it does. But are we in that part of the game where we have to either recognize this or completely fucking start a new game? And basically, we're at that point where we either have to accept that this technology is here and can carry on, or start a new game. That's it. There's no in between.
I have been kind of like a low-key advocate for what soccer has. If you watch soccer, if there's a penalty of certain kinds, sometimes they'll hold up a flag or a card or something, but they'll keep playing. As long as the offense still has the ball, they'll keep playing. And then the next time there's a break in the action or the defense gets the ball, then they stop the action and enforce the penalty. So something like that would be cool in football, where if they call the down by contact, right? Like that's a big one right now. If they blow the play dead, say he was down by contact, they can't, even if he wasn't down, you can challenge it and say he wasn't down, but they won't give you any forward progress because they've already ruled the play dead. Something like where the play can keep going and then come back. There's all kinds of things they could do to take some of the subjectivity out of these calls. And I'm really amazed that in 2021, they haven't made more of an emphasis on that. And they're focusing on taunting.
Let me tell you the number one fucking thing that this technology could help us solve with football. The number one fucking thing, ball placement.
That annoys me.
Ball placement.
I'm with you on that 100%.
Because I don't like challenges on ball placement. I'll be the first to admit I'm not a fan of challenging the ball placement simply because it's so subjective, man. It's not fucking science. It is not a science.
Well, they have almost gotten rid of that this year. The last couple of years, they don't really bring the chains out anymore. They almost will give them the first down.
In 2017, they started putting microchips in the footballs. But it has not come into effect with the replay action.
They're just still studying it.
That's where I'm at right now. It frustrates me because if you're going to have That would eliminate so many problems if we understood where the football exactly where it was with the first down. The line
I
to get-
agree with. I don't see why that's not a thing yet. I mean, like you
It'll
said, the
be.
technology's there.
It will be.
How many cameras do you guys see at a live NFL game at one time? It has to be up to what, 100?
Oh, easily.
It's an insane amount when you're taking part the broadcast, NFL films, Sky judges, everything. How can we
No,
not figure this out?
actually, there's really not that many cameras.
Do you realize that in a tennis match of a whatever they're called, a serious tennis match, an open or whatnot,
A Grand
can
Slam tennis
fucking get where the ball lands on a line to within like a centimeter from a fucking computer program. They can tell if the ball lands on the line or outside of the line from a tennis competition just from fucking GPS shit that watches the ball on the court, not from like some guesstimation shit. The ball is literally like tracked on the court from some GPS shit, and they can see whether or not it goes over a centimeter or not of the fucking line. And that's in tennis. And you're telling me we can't tell if a football goes over the fucking imaginary line of the fucking end zone?
Yeah, I'm sick of relying on Jerome Boger's eyes for my team's success because at this point, I'm not convinced Jerome Boger can see as well as I do, and I am legally blind.
This is a point of contention for me.
I can tell you're quite upset about it.
Well, I get passionate because I feel like it's stupid.
You are not wrong about that.
The reffing is just terrible, and at some point, it's going to make the sport unwatchable.
They need to jump onto the times, man. They need to.
Well, and this happened in 2011, or is it 2011 or 2012? The Fail Mary. I can't remember which year it was. But one of those
the
two.
referee. That was 2012. The referee strike.
This stuff comes around, and you have just enough distance between it where people kind of forget how bad that was. But I mean, there's a lot of weekends, a lot of fourth quarter meaningful action that is influenced by these referees. That's very similar to how that was back then. I remember there was a Titans-Lions game that year before they ended the referee lockout. And the guy, it was the fourth quarter. The Lions are driving down. They're trying to tie the game. I think they did tie the game. And Calvin Johnson makes this like stupid catch. They reviewed it and then somehow moved the ball forward 20 yards. So it was supposed to be at their 40, and they moved it to the Titans 40 after the replay. And like nobody said anything. They just kind of kept playing. I'm like, how did you miss 20 yards? I mean, stuff like that. We're kind of close to that.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And who else besides me gets terribly frustrated whenever the chains come out? I'm sorry, but are we living in the fucking Roman times here? Like seriously, are we measuring by chain links? What is this? Yeah. What is this?
So it says here on NFL Network that the typical NFL game that is televised has 12 to 20 cameras with 150 to 200 employees for a regular season contest.
It's not enough. When they're bringing in billions of dollars, 20 cameras is not enough.
Yeah. So
I guess it doesn't include NFL films and anything like that.
Oh, this is according to the well. Yeah, it does because each game has about the same amount of cameras and they all use the same footage.
Well, it's an improvement. I mean, it's up from, I think they were at 7 to 10 like about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember this being like something they were talking about.
Pitiful.
Back in the late 90s, it was only 5. You know,
I bet you soccer has twice the amount.
Oh, fuck soccer.
And guys, sports refereeing in America, and this isn't really a problem in other countries, it seems, because they use technology more in their reffing, but the NHL has a reffing problem. Major League Baseball has an umping problem. The NBA had to redo the way they do technical fouls and personal fouls this year. There's an American reffing problem, and it's not good.
I'm going to start a petition.
Start it.
I mean, in hockey, reffing has changed Stanley Cup finals.
Absolutely.
But the problem isn't new. You can go back 50, 60 years from now and people will bitch about refs. But the technology wasn't there 50 or 60 years ago. Now we have this. So why not fucking Cyrus? You need to talk to your dad. I sound like your dad right now. I sound like
I
your
know.
fucking father.
It's ironic because the thing that caused review to even become a we could have been doing reviews since the early 70s, but it didn't even become a thing
69 is
until
when it first started.
well, it's 79 because what happened to the 1979 Houston Oilers in the AFC Championship game where they had like 2 or 3 touchdowns taken away from them.
Of course.
Especially one that they literally it was a catch. But and then they actually took it away again in the 90s, didn't they? Didn't they
Yeah,
stop
92.
For a few
reviewing?
years.
In 92.
That doesn't even make any sense.
Listen,
Well, they wanted to speed the games up. The networks were complaining because of how long the games were running. They were like 4-hour ball games.
Yeah.
Then they figured out they could run commercials.
Yeah, well, and now I mean
Oh.
the NFL's really focused, and
Huh.
you know, to the point of everybody here, they focused a lot more on speeding up the games, so they don't bring the chains out as much. They don't really stop a lot for reviews. They actually have like the umpires can watch the replay before it's officially a challenge. They can discuss and overturn the call. There's a lot of things that they've done to really speed it up to where most of the games hit at about 3 hours on a Sunday afternoon, and the nighttime games with the extra ads and stuff are about 3.5, which is good. But at the same time, I agree they need to focus more on this stuff.
I agree. All right, so in my opinion, this week game of the week is Dallas goes up against Kansas City.
let's talk how we feel about football, not the games, actually.
Excuse me? No, I'm done with the feeling talk.
I want to talk about my feelings. Please, let's carry
Follow
on.
me.
That's the next podcast.
Okay. We'll do that a separate one. We'll call it 4 Guys and Feelings.
Yeah.
I think that one's already out there.
I imagine it is.
Well, tomorrow you have New England and Atlanta. I think I'm going to call it 28-3.
That sounds about right.
Oh,
You watch out for the
28-3.
Patriots, dude. I think the Patriots, that could be a loss for the Titans right there, that game.
Hold on.
Belichick will be ready.
I think
28-3.
Dallas, Kansas City be good. I think Pittsburgh at the Chargers will be good, sneaky good. And then you've got, there's actually a lot of really closely matched games. Cincinnati and Vegas, one of those might end up in the playoffs.
And if all else fails, they both might be terrible, but everyone knows the Giants and the Eagles are just going to hate each other for 3 hours. That's always fun. I like watching them. I like watching 2 teams that hate each other play.
The Giants
No matter
are playing,
how
but I thought the Giants were playing Tampa Bay.
The
Dude.
Giants. Oh, they are. Who says? Oh, the Eagles are playing the Saints. I read that wrong. My bad. They're playing New Orleans. It's going to be a boring game. Don't watch
Yeah.
it.
Let's reverse for a second. 28-3? Really?
You get the reference right.
Yeah, that's the 2016 Super Bowl.
Oh,
Falcons were up 28-3.
I'm not a memorabilia. I'm not that guy. But 28-3, I don't know about that. But I think that the Patriots will win. I think they're actually a contender for the AFC Championship.
Really?
Mm,
All right. I don't know,
They could
man.
be. I mean, no one really knows who that's going to be just yet.
I think
AFC
they
is
are.
very, very close.
It
I think
is.
they are.
They won't host a game. They won't be able to host a home playoff game, which I think will affect them immensely because Buffalo is winning that division still.
Timestamp this.
Buffalo's got to win this weekend, though. They're playing Indianapolis. Buffalo's got to win the hard games coming down the stretch because they've got some, still ahead of them that they have to win. They're going to be against some decent teams. And, I mean, you still have other teams that could catch up to them. I mean, right now the AFC is so close. I mean, like the number 2 team behind the Titans and the number, 8-9 team are all separated by, a game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that usually doesn't happen by this point of the year. There usually is some separation, and it hasn't happened. It's either going to happen this week or next week. You just can't go into week 18, which there are 18 weeks this year. It's weird. But you can't go that far into the season and have people this close together. It never happens. It would be very uncommon.
Atlanta
Buffalo's
scores a
gonna-
touchdown. Okay.
What?
Let me sneak that in real quick. Atlanta scores a touchdown.
Probably.
Garbage time, Ryan. He's going to knock
They
that out.
do. They score a touchdown.
Pitts will get open at some point,
Yes.
but
Okay.
in terms of the AFC, the Bills will pull away at some point. The Bills will separate themselves. And
I don't know.
keep
They're
second.
kind of looking a mess lately too. Even the win they just had was not a pretty win.
I think they'll fix it though. I
Yes.
think Buffalo gets it together. Baltimore gets it together.
Yes.
In teams that were hot at first that won't get it, I don't think Cincinnati's going to get it together. They're going to be good. I don't think they're going to be battling for a wild card spot though with Pittsburgh and the Chargers.
Oh, Buffalo.
Cincinnati's going to win their first playoff game this year.
Ooh.
Stamp it.
Buffalo's
be
got
in
left
Buffalo.
out of their remaining games. They've got the Colts at home, the Patriots at home, at Tampa Bay, the Panthers at home. We don't know what that's going to be, and then at New England. That's 5 of their next 6 games.
Wow.
So Buffalo could lose a lot of those games, dude. I don't think Buffalo's going to pull away from anything. If they do, they will have earned it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think. I really think that this team is actually going to show that they are a top 5 team in the league. They have all the talent. The coaching's well done. They just haven't found it this year. I think they find it.
I agree. So y'all want to shoot for this time again next week?
Whatever,
That's the
bro.
goal. I'll be in a whole
I'm
different
available.
town.
Yeah,
Hey,
you'll
are
be
you
in a
moving to
Oh,
Camden?
look, I actually can't do this time next week. I'm going to be in Lebanon because I got to go to a Preds game literally on Thanksgiving Eve.
Yeah, I
Good
forgot
for
next
you.
week is Thanksgiving.
Oh, Thanksgiving. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, we'll shoot for 2 weeks from today.
Okay. I forgot about Thanksgiving.
Yep. Everybody have a
okay.
good Thanksgiving.
Cyrus,
You too.
are you moving to Camden?
Yeah,
When?
Friday.
Friday?
Yeah,
Fuck.
that's what I'm
Yep.
saying.
Are you still going to be able to stream?
Of course, my dad works from home now. We have to have, and it's a you know my dad. We have to
I
have good
understand.
internet.
Okay. Well, tell him to buy you a fucking camera.
We're working on that. Don't worry. The anonymous profile Cyrus Dahmer will go away eventually, and everyone will get to see my weird bearded face.
I'm
It's
going to
kind of
start
your
calling
thing,
you.
though, man. It's okay.
I'm going
It
to
is
start
a fun
calling you
gimmick.
Anon.
Anon Rogers.
See ya,
Anon.
Elon.
All right, y'all take it easy. We'll see you
See
next
ya.
time.
All right, football.